Most people could name a dozen things invented in America, a handful from Germany, Japan, or Britain. The countries that get credited with shaping the modern world are familiar. Korea is not usually on that list. It should be. Korea invented the world's first metal movable type printing 200 years before Gutenberg. Korea put the first MP3 player in people's hands 3 years before the iPod. Korea launched the world's first social network 5 years before Facebook. Korea built the world's first 5G network and released the first 5G phone on the same day. Today, we are counting down 12 South Korean inventions that make the rest of the world look lazy. Watch until the end because number 1 is about a memory chip Korea invented in 2013 that nobody wanted, and why that chip is now the single most important piece of technology in the entire artificial intelligence revolution. Number 12. Hangul, the world's only scientifically designed alphabet. Every writing system in the world evolved organically over thousands of years. Nobody designed an alphabet from scratch with the deliberate goal of making it as easy as possible to learn. Nobody except Korea. In 1443, King Sejong the Great commissioned Hangul so that ordinary Korean people could become literate. Before Hangul, only aristocrats educated in Chinese characters could read and write. Every letter in Hangul is shaped to match the exact position of the mouth and throat when making the corresponding sound. The letter for lips pressed together looks like lips pressed together. The letter for a sound from the back of the throat is shaped like the back of the throat. The average adult learns to read Hangul in a few hours. Korea is the only country in the world that celebrates its writing system, with a national public holiday called Hangul Day on October 9th. UNESCO recognized the original manuscript. Linguists call it one of the most scientifically rigorous writing systems ever created. Number 11. Metal movable type. Korea invented it 200 years before Gutenberg. The story most people know is that Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press with movable type in the 1450s, and that this invention sparked the Renaissance, transformed literacy, and created the modern information age. That story is missing 200 years. Korea invented metal movable type printing in the early 1200s. The Jikji, a Buddhist text printed in Korea in 1377, is the oldest surviving book printed with metal movable type in human history. It sits in the National Library of France. UNESCO certified it in 2001. Gutenberg printed his Bible in 1455, 78 years after the Jikji was already printed and distributed. The invention that historians credit with sparking modern civilization was built on a technology Korea pioneered 2 centuries earlier. Korea got almost none of the credit because it was a smaller country with less political influence than Europe, and history is usually written by the people who get there second but shout loudest about it. Number 10. The MP3 player. Korea made it 3 years before Apple. The story of the MP3 player in most people's minds starts with Apple. The iPod launched in 2001. Steve Jobs said it put 1,000 songs in your pocket, and the music industry was transformed. What that story skips is that Korea already put 100 songs in your pocket in 1998. Seihan Information Systems, a Korean company, created the MP-Man F10 in 1997 and released it commercially in 1998. It was the world's first mass-produced portable digital music player. It held 32 megabytes of storage, enough for roughly 6 to 10 songs, ran on a single AA battery, and was small enough to fit in a shirt pocket. If you are enjoying this so far, tap like and subscribe so you do not miss the rest of this list. Apple released the iPod 3 years later with better marketing, deeper pockets, and the iTunes Store to back it up. Apple became the company history remembers for changing music. Seihan is a footnote. The music revolution that changed how every person on earth listens to audio was started by a small Korean company most people have never heard of. Number 9. The Cushion Foundation. It was invented by watching a parking lot stamp machine. The Cushion Compact is now one of the most globally dominant makeup formats in the world. Every major beauty brand, including Dior, Chanel, Lancôme, and L'Oreal, sells its own version. It generates billions in annual revenue across the global cosmetics industry. It was invented in Seoul in 2008 after researchers at Amore Pacific were working on a foundation formula that could be applied more easily without brushes or fingers. A researcher noticed a parking lot ticket machine using a saturated ink cushion and thought that idea could work as a cosmetic delivery system. The team then spent years conducting more than 3,600 tests across 200 types of sponge materials to find the right density and porosity. The result was the IOP Air Cushion, launched in 2008. One unit sells every 30 seconds in Asia. Amore Pacific holds the global patent. Every major Western luxury brand that sells a cushion foundation today is either paying licensing fees or finding ways around a patent held by a Korean company that got the idea from a parking lot in Seoul. Number 8. Contactless payment. Every tap you make traces back to Seoul in 1995. Every time someone taps a bank card, a phone, or a smartwatch to pay for something, they are using contactless payment technology. It is so embedded in daily life now that it feels like it has always existed. The Seoul Bus Transport Association introduced the world's first contactless smart card payment system for electronic transit ticketing in 1995. The card used radio frequency identification technology to process payments without physical contact. And that was the foundational technology all modern contactless payment systems are built on. Korea deployed it at scale across an entire city's transit network 25 years before contactless payment became standard in most Western countries. Every bank card with a contactless symbol, every phone payment, every transit card anywhere in the world uses the core technology that Korea built and deployed first. Most people tapping their card today have no idea the technology was pioneered in a bus network in Seoul 3 decades ago. Number 7. Cyworld, the world's first social network. 5 years before Facebook, Facebook launched in 2004 and became the defining social network of the modern internet. The idea of connecting with friends through a personal profile page felt new and revolutionary. It was not new, Korea had been doing it since 1999. Cyworld launched in South Korea in 1999 as the world's first mass social networking service. Users created personal homepages, customized virtual rooms with digital furniture bought with virtual currency, connected with friends, shared photos, and wrote posts. At its peak, Cyworld had 25 million users in a country of 48 million people. Facebook launched 5 years later, scaled globally, and is the company that history credits with inventing social networking. Korea built the social internet first. The world copied it and got the credit. Number 6. KTX, a world-class high-speed rail built in 1 decade. High-speed rail in most countries took generations to plan, argue about, and partially build. The United States has been debating a high-speed network for 50 years and has not built one. Korea decided it needed high-speed rail in 1990 and had the first line running in 2004. That was 14 years from decision to operation. The KTX runs at 305 km per hour, connects Seoul to Busan in 2 hours and 17 minutes, has 0 passenger fatalities in 20 years, and carried 66 million passengers in 2023. No security checks, no baggage scanning, just walk on. Korea built world-class high-speed rail in the time it takes most countries to finish the environmental review. Number 5. 5G. Korea launched the world's first commercial 5G network. Every major technology country was racing to launch 5G first. The United States, China, Japan, and Europe all had major carriers investing billions with the explicit goal of being first. Being first to 5G meant leading the infrastructure the entire world would run on for the next decade. South Korea won. On April 3, 2019, Korea launched the world's first commercial 5G network. Verizon in the United States launched approximately 1 hour later, having planned to go first. Samsung released the world's first 5G smartphone the same day. By 2024, Korea had achieved nationwide 5G coverage with average speeds of 354 megabits per second, the fastest in the world. Korea did not just win the race to 5G, it built the network that now sets the global benchmark, released the phone that runs on it, and achieved nationwide coverage before most countries had finished planning their urban rollouts. Number 4. Hallyu. Korea engineered the most successful cultural export strategy in history. BTS sold out stadiums on every continent. Squid Game became the most watched Netflix series in history. Parasite won Best Picture. Most people assume Korean culture exploded globally because of talent and the internet. The real reason is a government policy decision made during a financial crisis. When Korea's economy collapsed in 1997 and the IMF stepped in with a bailout, President Kim Dae-jung made a deliberate choice to treat cultural content as a strategic national export. The government created funding agencies, built infrastructure for the entertainment industry, and systematically invested in Korean film, music, and television the same way it had invested in manufacturing. The budget grew from $14 million in 1999 to $84 million by 2001. Netflix has since invested $2.5 billion in Korean content. Hallyu exports generated $14 billion in 2023. Parasite was the first non-English film to win Best Picture in 92 years of the Academy Awards. A country that was economically destroyed in 1997 invented a cultural export industry from scratch and became the most culturally influential small nation on earth within 20 years. Number 3. E-government. 95% of government services on your phone. In most countries, dealing with your government means physical offices, paper forms, long queues, and processing times measured in weeks. Korea built a different system entirely. Through the Government 24 portal and integrated apps, South Koreans can renew their passport, pay taxes, register a business, access their complete lifelong medical history, apply for government benefits, and receive certified official documents from their phone in under 5 minutes. 95% of all government services are available digitally. Korea ranks in the top 4 globally in the United Nations E-Government Development Index. Most Koreans under 50 have not visited a government office in years. The rest of the world built governments for the age of paper and is still retrofitting them for digital. Korea built a digital government and made the paper version optional. Number 2. The Han River Miracle, the fastest economic development in human history. In 1953, South Korea's GDP per capita was lower than Ghana's. The country was rubble. There were no natural resources, no functioning industry, and no established trading relationships. It was one of the poorest countries on earth at the end of the most destructive conflict in its history. By 2023, South Korea was the 13th largest economy in the world. In a single generation, it went from poverty comparable to sub-Saharan Africa to a per capita income comparable to the European Union average. Samsung, Hyundai, LG, SK Hynix, POSCO, and Kia all emerged from that same generation. Korea is the only nation in recorded history to go from international aid recipient to international aid donor within a single human lifetime. Economists call it the Han River Miracle and consider it the most compressed economic development ever recorded. No other country in history has moved this fast from that starting point. The mechanism was a deliberate national strategy of government-directed investment in education and export manufacturing. combined with a cultural ethos that treated national reconstruction as a collective duty. It should not have been possible. Korea did it anyway. Number 1. High bandwidth memory. The chip Korea invented that makes all AI possible. Every AI assistant running right now, every image generated by a neural network, every large language model powering the technology that the entire world is calling the next industrial revolution. All of it requires enormous amounts of memory processed at enormous speed. That memory comes from South Korea. Samsung and SK Hynix together control 73% of global DRAM and over 50% of NAND flash memory. But the most important number is this. SK Hynix holds 62% of the global high bandwidth memory market. HBM is the specific type of memory that makes AI processing at scale physically possible. Every NVIDIA AI chip that every technology company on Earth is currently trying to buy runs on HBM made in South Korea. Here is what makes this an invention story rather than just a dominant story. SK Hynix invented high bandwidth memory in 2013. At the time, the market did not want it. It was expensive to produce, power hungry, and had no obvious mass application. SK Hynix kept developing it anyway, refining it through generation after generation for 10 years with limited commercial demand. Then the AI boom hit in 2023. Suddenly, every technology company on Earth needed HBM immediately and at scale. And there was essentially one place on Earth ready to supply it. Korea had spent a decade quietly building the supply chain for a product the world did not yet know it needed. The world is debating whether AI will change everything. Korea is supplying the memory that makes it run. Every invention on this list follows the same pattern. Korea identified something the world needed, built it first, and then either did not get the credit, was too small to globalize it, or was simply so far ahead that the rest of the world took decades to catch up. The question is not whether Korea will keep inventing things the world needs. The question is how long it takes everyone else to notice. If you want to see more, like and subscribe, and watch the next video on your screen.